You're live.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, yes, Pratishtha, you are live. You can start the
Okay.
session.
Okay. Hello, all. So, how are you all and how was your evening? Great. What time is it of the day now? And what all do you remember regarding the last session that we had? Welcome to the IELTS Reading Module 2, Webinar 2 of Hello English. This is Pratishtha, live again with you all. So, how are you all? Great. Now, what does this reading module say? I mean, how long does it take and how is it all about? Hi Neha, how are you? Yes, I would be revising you, taking you back to the last class wherein we stopped and what all did we do and how do we proceed here. Great to see you all here. Hi Mian, how are you keeping today? Great. In the last class, we just had an introduction about what is IELTS and how do we go ahead and how do we target the highest score, the highest band in IELTS. Today's webinar would be all revolving around the reading module of IELTS. Now, I'm great, Sujoy. I am great, Deepak. Okay. Now, can you see the screens? The screen says something 60, something 40, something 3. What is it all about? Yes, Naneshwar, we've already started. Now, the 60 minutes is nothing but the time granted to you for solving the entire reading module, the reading section. And this reading section has in all 40 questions. These 40 questions are divided in 3 reading passages. Now, what are these 3 reading passages? I told you that these 3 reading passages do not come out of some galaxy or do not come out of some planet. They come out of your reading journals, newspapers, magazines, news, and those daily readings that we generally read. But I'm great, Pradeep. I'm great, Shubham. But while we deal with IELTS, they have a particular focus. They focus on your communication skills, your skills, so that you, while you move into some other country, you do not face a problem related to communication. That is their lookout, and that is why we are supposed to cover up the IELTS with a wonderful band. That's it. And this reading module, which has 40 questions, they are superbly easy questions. You don't have to get scared about them. And all you have to do is to read it very, very, very carefully. Okay. Before we start with IELTS, the first thing is you need to promise yourself to learn minimum of two new words a day. That is approximately 60 words per month, which are really less. But then to start with, yes. So the moment you move ahead, you would always be like taking them up like from 2 words to 3 words, from 3 to 4. How as in how your memory accepts and as in how your memory allows you to. So this is how you have to do, but this is the must for all the 4 sections. Increasing your bandwidth with vocabulary, with new words is very, very, very essential because they would help you out in all the sections. This reading section carries up, I would be sharing you with a pattern of questions, with the type of questions that are covered in the reading section. But then you have to make sure that your vocab is best, because you'll have questions related to synonyms and questions related to nearly means. All right, should we move ahead? Now, this reading section covers up 2 sections while we are two tasks while we are moving on with the reading part. Now, these 2 parts are general as well as academic. Now, the general task is nothing but one longer text which is descriptive rather than argumentative. Now, how many of you are aware of how to tell our problem? You can tell me here or you can book up a session, both the ways. This general portion of IELTS is you're dealing with descriptive rather than argumentative. How many of you know what is argumentative and what is descriptive? Do you know the difference? Are they different? Are they same? You have some problems with this app. That is a technical issue, dear. And I don't feel so there's some problem, maybe some internet issues on your end. Okay. So, hi, Tanya. So this descriptive text is nothing but the text which describes in detail about a particular thing. Now, the type of material needed on a daily basis in an English speaking country. Like I told you, the first intention of taking up IELTS is to be able to communicate wonderfully with the native speakers of English. And that is why we have to reach to a particular band. Now, while they select a text for your passages, all in the reading sections as well as other sections, they would always concentrate on the material which is generally needed on the daily basis. Daily basis in the sense, the text would be revolving around the description of maybe famous places, maybe it can be conversations, it can also describe about weather in that season or some culture in that season, so that you get accustomed to that particular country. How to speak English? It's very easy, Deepak. Now, topics are relevant to everyday life in an English speaking country. Like I told you, IELTS, what is the full form of IELTS? Nyaneshwar, I hope you were there in the last session. If you were not, you just have to go back to the YouTube link that is connected to this webinar, the first webinar, and then keep on with all the 8 web series that we have. This is the second webinar. We have many more to go. So that is how you can take it up. Hope that's fine, Naneshwar. It's international. Okay. Now, these topics are relevant to everyday life in an English speaking country. Like they can be related to culture, they can be related to their festivals, they can be related to the temperature there, or some very famous monument, or some food that they eat over there. So these texts would be always revolving around these matter. Naneshwar, that's fine. That's fine. So I hope you got the full form of IELTS. Okay. Now, short factual text related to a topic such as hotel advertisements and work-related issues. Now, there are few work culture, some rules that every country follows. Like we in India, we have Hindi as our language that we use officially. Other countries have their own ways to deal with. So, in that case, you have to know that particular way of how the country deals with in their official format. So these texts would always be related and they would always revolve around those things, like maybe hotel, they have a particular way of greeting each other, or they have a particular way of putting their forks and spoons. So this is very natural, very common, and so all these topics come under the general category. I hope we okay till here. Yes, Deepak, you have to try. Now, while we move in, any doubts regarding the general category questions that are asked in the reading section of IELTS? Okay. The next section that we deal with in the reading section is the academic section. Now, what is this academic section? Academic section has at least one passage that contain a detailed logical argument. Now, what is this argument? We will cover up in tomorrow's session, because I'll need to share up an example with you which would connect you to the word argument. So do not miss tomorrow's webinar, the next webinar. Sorry, not tomorrow, but the next webinar, webinar 3. Texts are appropriate for candidates entering undergraduate and postgraduate courses. Now, don't be afraid, don't be scared of these texts, these exams, because they would be of your level. Deepak, you can speak, and that is how you try. So these texts that are used in the IELTS exams, Mandeep, we are moving there. Don't worry, I'll cover everything related to reading today and in the next webinar. Texts are appropriate for candidates entering undergraduate and postgraduate courses. Now, how are these texts? They are not to be too high of the level that you have not done, and too low in the level that you have not done. So they would be of your level, or you people, when you aspire to go out of India to do your graduations or post graduation courses, they would always be of that particular level. Topics are on academics of general interest, for example, the coral reefs, drug addiction. There are few problems that are there in the society which we should be aware of, and we should take care of, or we should know about them and know how to cure them up. We need to deal them also. So we are supposed to read and solve and know before we enter in up to the country. Any doubts related to academic section? This webinar is all about reading, and the next webinar also would be all about reading, so that we cover up the entire reading section and then move on to the other sections of IELTS. What happened, Mian? Is there any issue? What is the point that you did not understand?